The lecture hall fell silent when Maya Chen walked through the door. Not the polite kind of quiet that came with academic respect. This was the suffocating hush of prey animals sensing a predator in their midst. 73 pairs of eyes tracked her movements across the tiered seating, their pupils dilating with instinctive fear responses that no amount of civilized education could fully suppress. Professor Xelthan's throat sac inflated nervously, the pale blue membrane quivering as he adjusted his datapad with 3 of his 6 manipulator limbs. He had taught xenobiology at the Galactic Consortium Academy for 42 cycles, but nothing in his extensive training had prepared him for the day a human would enroll in his class. Maya found a seat in the 3rd row, her boots making soft thuds against the polished floor. She dropped her tactical bag beside the curved desk, the weight of it causing several nearby students to flinch. The Vrelian to her left, a feathered biped with chronically anxious eyes, immediately began packing his materials. "Stay," Maya said quietly, not even glancing in his direction. "I do not bite." The Vrelian froze mid-motion, his plumage standing on end. Whether he stayed out of politeness or sheer terror remained unclear. Professor Xelthan cleared his throat, a sound like gravel sliding down glass. "Welcome everyone to Advanced Predator Studies. Today we will be examining the behavioral patterns of apex species across colonized space." His voice faltered slightly. "I trust everyone completed the assigned reading on Korthian pack hunters." Maya raised her hand. The professor's primary eyes widened. "Yes, Miss Chen." The reading material classified Korthians as apex predators based on their coordinated hunting strategies and efficient kill ratios. She leaned back in her seat, arms crossed. "But their homeworld has a gravity rating of 0.7 standard and an atmospheric oxygen content of 18%. They evolved in what we would call a low-stress environment, hardly apex material by any meaningful metric." A ripple of shocked chirps and clicks spread through the classroom. No one contradicted a professor, especially not on the first day, especially not when that professor was a published expert in his field. Xelthan's throat sac deflated slightly. "And what, pray tell, would you consider a more appropriate classification?" "Mid-tier opportunistic hunters at best." Maya's tone remained level, almost bored. "They are ambush specialists that rely on numerical advantage. Remove their pack cohesion and they scatter. I have seen house hits with more nerve." The Vrelian beside her made a strangled sound. "You speak from experience?" Xelthan asked, his voice carrying an edge that had not been there before. "I grew up on Earth." Maya met his gaze without blinking. "Everything on my planet either wants to eat you, poison you, or crush you. Sometimes all 3. The Korthians would not last a week in the Australian outback, much less the deep jungle or the Arctic tundra. But please, continue with your lecture. I am sure the theoretical models are fascinating." The professor's manipulator limbs twitched. He opened his mouth, closed it, then opened it again. "Perhaps we should take a brief recess before beginning the main lecture." Translation. He needed time to regain his composure. Students began filing out, giving Maya's seat a wide berth as if she carried some invisible contagion. She pulled out her personal tablet and began reviewing her notes, unbothered by the exodus. "You should not have done that." Maya looked up. A young Korthian female stood beside her desk, her chitinous armor gleaming under the overhead lights. She was small for her species, barely reaching Maya's shoulder height, but her mandibles were sharp and her stance suggested coiled strength. "Done what?" Maya asked. "Corrected factual inaccuracies. Humiliated Professor Xelthan in front of the entire class." The Korthian's antennae twitched. "He is well connected. He could make your academic career here very difficult. Then he should have done better research." Maya returned to her tablet. "I did not come here to make friends. I came here to learn. That much is obvious." The Korthian settled into the seat beside Maya, the one the Vrelian had abandoned. "I am called Zara. And before you ask, yes, I know what I am doing. Everyone will assume I have a death wish, sitting next to the deathworlder. Let them talk." Maya studied her for a long moment. "Why?" "Because everyone in this academy is terrified of stepping outside their comfort zones. They have been coddled their entire lives, taught that the universe is safe and orderly." Zara's mandibles clicked in what might have been a smile. "You are a reminder that the universe is neither. I find that refreshing. You are either very brave or very stupid." "I prefer to think of myself as pragmatic." Zara pulled out her own datapad. Besides, if I can survive being your study partner, my credentials will be unquestionable. The first Korthian to voluntarily befriend a human, the recruitment offers will be endless. Despite herself, Maya felt the corner of her mouth twitch. You are using me for career advancement. Absolutely. Is that a problem? Not at all. At least you are honest about it. Professor Xelthan returned several minutes later, his composure restored but his throat sac remaining cautiously deflated. He launched into his lecture without acknowledging Maya's earlier comments, focusing instead on the biochemical markers that differentiated predator species from prey species. The material was basic, almost insultingly so. Maya had covered most of it in her secondary education back on Earth, but she kept her observations to herself this time, taking notes and letting the professor maintain his dignity. Halfway through the class, the door opened. A massive shape filled the doorway. Easily 9 feet tall, covered in midnight black fur with silver striping, muscles rippling beneath the pelt with every breath. His eyes glowed amber in the dimmed classroom lighting, and when he opened his mouth to apologize for his tardiness, rows of serrated teeth gleamed. A Xelthan, an actual honest-to-God Xelthan. The prey species in the room collectively held their breath. Even Zara stiffened beside Maya, her antennae flattening against her carapace. Sepherans were the stuff of nightmares in consortium space. Apex predators from a high-gravity deathworld with an atmosphere so oxygen-rich that other species needed protective gear just to breathe there. Their reflexes operated on a different temporal scale. Their strength could bend durasteel, and their hunting instincts were honed by millions of years of evolutionary pressure that made the Krathians look like timid herbivores. They were also extremely rare in academic settings. Most preferred military careers or private security work. Having one in a classroom was like having a loaded weapon sitting in the corner, safety off, finger on the trigger. Professor Xelthan's voice came out as a strangled whisper. Mr. Kravik, how good of you to join us. Please, find a seat. Every student in the room suddenly found their data pads intensely fascinating. No one made eye contact with the Zephyrian as he surveyed the available seating. His amber eyes swept across the rows, and students seemed to collectively shrink into themselves wherever his gaze landed. His nostrils flared, scenting the air, and his tail lashed once behind him with barely contained energy. Then those predatory eyes locked onto Maya. He moved with fluid grace despite his size, ascending the steps with barely a sound. The closer he got, the more the ambient temperature seemed to drop, as if fear itself had become a physical presence in the room. He stopped beside Maya's row. The empty seat on her right beckoned. This seat is taken. His voice was a deep rumble, like distant thunder rolling across mountains. It is now, Maya said without looking up from her notes. Kravik settled into the chair, which groaned under his weight. The desk designed for smaller species looked absurdly inadequate next to his bulk. He pulled out a datapad that appeared comically tiny in his massive claws. Professor Xelthan stared at the three of them, a human, a Korthian, and a Xelthan, sitting together in his classroom. His throat sac inflated and deflated 3 times in rapid succession, a clear sign of extreme distress among his species. Perhaps, he said weakly, we should discuss the reading assignment. Chapter 7, focusing on predator social hierarchies and territorial behaviors. For the next hour, the lecture proceeded in tense silence. Maya could feel the eyes on her back, the whispered conversations in languages she did not speak, the constant undercurrent of fear permeating every interaction. She had dealt with worse back home. But there the threats had been honest. Here everything was wrapped in layers of diplomatic courtesy and veiled prejudice. When class finally ended, the exodus was immediate. Students filed out as quickly as decorum allowed, many casting nervous glances back at the unlikely trio still seated. Kravik stood, stretching to his full height. You are the deathworlder everyone has been discussing. Guilty as charged, Maya said, packing her materials. They say your species is insane, that you evolved on a planet trying to kill you at every moment, and instead of developing proper survival instincts, you learn to fight back, to dominate, to conquer. That is one interpretation. His lips pulled back, revealing those impressive teeth. I like you already. Zara clicked her mandibles. Great. Now we are a trio of social pariahs. My career plans are working perfectly. You do not have to sit with us if it bothers you, Maya said. And miss the entertainment? Absolutely not. Do you know how boring this academy usually is? Everyone following the rules, being polite, pretending that we all evolved from the same harmonious stock. Zara's antennae swiveled with apparent delight. You two are going to cause absolute chaos. I intend to have front row seats. Kravik's tail swished. She has spirit. I approve. They left the lecture hall together, an odd procession that caused other students to give them a wide berth in the corridors. Maya felt the weight of countless stares, heard the whispered conversations that ceased whenever they drew near. Does this bother you? Kravik asked quietly, his enhanced hearing clearly picking up the gossip. I stopped caring what people thought about me a long time ago, Maya replied. Fear is honest. Prejudice is just ignorance with better vocabulary, spoken like someone who has dealt with both extensively. Earth has 8 billion humans. We have spent most of our history finding creative ways to hate each other over the smallest differences. Skin color, belief systems, geographic location, you name it. We have fought wars over it. She shrugged. Compared to that, a few nervous aliens are hardly traumatic. They reached the central plaza, where students congregated between classes. The moment they appeared, conversations died. The three of them might as well have been carrying signs announcing their status as outcasts. I need to eat, Kravik announced. The commissary should have something suitable. I will join you, Zara said. If only to see how the staff reacts when you order. Maya checked her schedule. I have combat training in 20 minutes. Kravik's ears perked forward. Combat training. Required course for all first-year students. Basic self-defense, tactical thinking, that sort of thing. This I must see. Zara. We are postponing lunch. I did not agree to this. Zara protested, but she followed anyway as Kravik changed direction toward the training facilities. The gymnasium was massive, designed to accommodate species of wildly different sizes and physical requirements. Padded floors, adjustable gravity zones, environmental controls that could simulate everything from Arctic conditions to desert heat. Instructor Revan stood at the center, a grizzled Torgathi veteran whose scales bore the scars of actual combat rather than academic theory. He looked up as students filed in, his reptilian eyes narrowing when he spotted Maya Chen, front and center. Maya dropped her bag and approached. Around her, other students maintained their distance, forming a loose circle with her at the epicenter. Revan circled her slowly, evaluating. I have read your file. Earth, Deathworld Classification 9. Gravity 1.0 standard. Oxygen levels that would give most species seizures, predator saturation that defies statistical probability. He stopped in front of her. Tell me, Chen, why are you here? To learn. Wrong answer. You are here because your species finally achieved L capability and the consortium could not ignore you any longer. You are here because the Council is terrified of what happens if humanity is left to its own devices. You are here because you represent a potential threat that needs to be assessed, categorized, and controlled. Maya met his gaze steadily. Is there a question in there somewhere, sir? Can you control yourself? That is the question. Because everyone in this room is watching you, waiting for you to prove every negative stereotype about your kind. One wrong move, one loss of temper, and you confirm their worst fears. Then I suppose I should not lose my temper. Revan's jaw split in what might have been a smile. We will see. Pair up. Basic grappling drills. No strikes, no submissions. Just control and positioning. The other students immediately turned to their friends, forming partnerships with practiced ease. Maya stood alone in the center of the mat. Chen, you are with me, Revan said. Of course she was. They squared off, Revan easily outweighing her by 50 pounds and possessing a lower center of gravity that would make him difficult to move. But Maya had grown up training in Brazilian jiu-jitsu, judo, and wrestling. She understood leverage and timing. Begin. Revan shot in fast, faster than his bulk suggested he should be able to move. But Maya had drilled these reactions thousands of times. She sprawled back, using her weight to crush his shot, then spun behind him for back control. He reversed explosively, his reptilian strength surprising but not overwhelming. They grappled across the mat, neither gaining a decisive advantage, both testing the other's skills. Not bad, Revan grunted, breaking free and resetting. Again, they drilled for 20 minutes, with Revan gradually increasing the intensity. Maya held her own, adapting to his techniques, finding openings in his defense. Then the instructor did something unexpected. He stopped mid-drill and turned to address the class. Who wants to try? He asked. Silence. Come now. She is just one small human. Surely someone feels confident enough to test their skills. More silence. Then from the back of the gymnasium a low rumble. Kravik stepped onto the mat, and the temperature seemed to drop 10 degrees. Revan's scales rippled. Mr. Kravik, are you certain that is wise? The instructor asked for volunteers. I volunteer. Very well. Revan stepped back, his expression unreadable. Same rules apply, grappling only. No strikes. Maya and Kravik faced each other across the mat. He stood twice her height, probably 5 times her weight, with reflexes that operated faster than human perception. This was, objectively speaking, an impossibly bad matchup. She smiled. Begin. Kravik moved like lightning made flesh, closing the distance in a blur of black fur and muscle. Maya did not try to meet his strength. Instead, she dropped low, using his momentum against him, redirecting his charge past her and yanking on his ankle as he passed. The massive Zephyrian stumbled, caught off balance, and Maya immediately swarmed up his back. Her legs hooked under his arms, her hands gripping for control, turning his own size against him. For 3 seconds she maintained the position. Then Kravik simply stood up, lifting her entire body weight like she weighed nothing, and reached back to pluck her off his shoulders as easily as removing a backpack. He set her down gently, careful not to hurt her despite his overwhelming advantage. You are fast, he rumbled, but I am faster. And you are strong, Maya replied, breathing hard. But strength has its limits. Does it? Before she could respond, alarms screamed throughout the facility. Emergency lights flashed red, and automated voice systems began broadcasting in multiple languages. Security breach. All students report to designated safe zones immediately. This is not a drill. Security breach in progress. Revan's hand went to his communicator. His expression turned grim as he listened. Then he looked directly at Maya and Kravik. We have a situation. Unknown hostiles have penetrated Academy defenses. They are heading this way and preliminary scans suggest they are specifically targeting this training session. He paused. They are asking for the human by name. Every eye in the gymnasium turned to Maya. She felt ice crystallize in her veins, but her voice remained steady. Who are they? We do not know, but they are heavily armed, extremely dangerous, and they seem to know exactly where you are. Revan's hand moved to the weapon at his hip. Chen, I need you to tell me right now, why would armed mercenaries invade a consortium academy looking specifically for you? Maya's mind raced through possibilities, connections, implications. Only one answer made sense, but she had thought that part of her life was buried deep enough that no one could find it. Apparently she had been wrong. Because, she said quietly, her eyes going cold and hard, before I came here I killed someone very important. And it seems his family wants revenge. The gymnasium erupted into chaos. Students screamed, scrambling for the exits, while Revan barked orders into his communicator. Security protocols engaged automatically, blast doors beginning their slow descent at each entrance. They had maybe 90 seconds before lockdown completed. Kravik moved to Maya's side, his muscles tensed and ready. How many are coming? If they are smart, enough to matter. Maya's hands flexed unconsciously, muscle memory from a life she had tried to leave behind. If they are stupid, all of them. Chen, start talking. Now, Revan's weapon was drawn, his eyes scanning the entrances. Who did you kill, and why should I not hand you over to avoid a bloodbath? His name was Cassandra Thrane. He was a human arms dealer who specialized in selling consortium weapons to insurgent groups across contested space. He was also a serial killer who targeted young women on frontier colonies. Maya's voice carried no emotion, just facts delivered like a mission report. I was 17. He made the mistake of choosing my settlement. He made an even bigger mistake when he chose my younger sister. Zara had appeared beside them, her mandibles clicking rapidly with stress. You assassinated an arms dealer at 17. I hunted him for 3 months across 4 systems. When I finally found him, I made sure he understood exactly why he was dying. Maya's eyes fixed on the main entrance, where shadows were moving beyond the reinforced glass. I thought I had covered my tracks. Apparently his crime family disagreed. The blast doors stopped halfway down. Emergency systems sparked and died. Someone had hacked the Academy's security grid. That is not good, Revan muttered. The main entrance exploded inward. Smoke and debris filled the air as figures poured through the breach. 6 of them heavily armored, carrying military-grade plasma weapons that had no business being on an academic station. Their movements were practiced, efficient, the kind of coordination that came from extensive combat experience. The lead figure raised his weapon toward the fleeing students. Maya moved. She crossed 15 feet in under 2 seconds, her legs sweeping up to catch the mercenary's weapon arm. The plasma rifle discharged into the ceiling, melting through metal supports and raining molten debris. Before he could recover, Maya drove her elbow into his helmet's weak point at the neck seal. The armor cracked. The mercenary went down. The other 5 opened fire. Kravik launched himself sideways, taking 2 mercenaries down with his sheer mass. His claws found gaps in their armor, shredding through the protective layering like it was paper. Roars and screams filled the air as the Zephyrian demonstrated exactly why his species was classified as an apex predator. Zara moved with surprising speed, her chitinous body providing natural armor against glancing shots. She drove her shoulder spikes into one mercenary's leg joint, dropping him to his knees, then delivered a mandible strike that cracked his helmet's faceplate. Revan provided covering fire, his instructor's weapon proving far more powerful than standard issue. 2 mercenaries fell back under his barrage, seeking cover behind overturned equipment. Maya disarmed a second attacker, using his own momentum to throw him across the gymnasium. His armor sparked against the floor, systems overloading from the impact. She grabbed his dropped weapon, checked the charge, and fired 3 precision shots that disabled the remaining threat's armor systems without killing them. Silence fell over the gymnasium, broken only by heavy breathing and the crackle of damaged electronics. That was the advance team, Maya said, dropping the stolen weapon. The real threat is still coming. As if summoned by her words, a slow clap echoed from the destroyed entrance. A woman stepped through the smoke, tall, elegant, with platinum hair pulled back in a severe bun and eyes that held the cold calculation of a career predator. She wore no armor, just an expensive tailored suit that screamed money and power. 2 massive bodyguards flanked her, their augmented bodies rippling with military-grade enhancements. Maya Chen, how delightful to finally meet you in person. The woman's smile did not reach her eyes. I am Cassandra Thrane. You murdered my brother. Your brother was a monster. Oh, I am aware. Kelvar had his issues, but he was family, and you took him from me. Cassandra's heels clicked against the floor as she approached, unconcerned by the weapons trained on her. Do you know what it cost me to find you? The favors I called in, the bribes I paid, the trails I followed across half the consortium, you hid well. But everyone makes mistakes eventually. Maya's jaw tightened. If you are here for revenge, get on with it. Revenge? Cassandra laughed, the sound cold and brittle. Oh, my dear girl, this is not about revenge. This is about business, she gestured, and holographic displays materialized in the air. Images of Maya, dossiers, combat footage that should not exist. Every fight, every mission, every dark operation she had conducted in the years before entering the academy. You are a remarkable young woman, Maya. Self-taught, highly skilled, utterly ruthless when necessary. You have potential that is being wasted in this glorified daycare. Cassandra's eyes gleamed. I am here to offer you a job. Join my organization. Use your talents for something more profitable than listening to boring lectures about alien biology. I would rather die. That can be arranged. But first, consider this. Cassandra waved her hand, and the holograms changed. New images appeared. Maya's family, her parents, her younger sister, Emma, the one she had saved from Kelvar. All of them going about their daily lives on their frontier colony, completely unaware they were being watched. Maya's blood turned to ice. I have people on that settlement. Very patient people with very specific instructions. Refuse my offer and they receive a signal. What happens next? Cassandra shrugged delicately. Well, I imagine it will be quite tragic. Kravik growled low in his throat. Threatening innocence. How predictable, says the Zexdar, standing in a room full of unconscious mercenaries. Cassandra's eyes flicked to him. Though I admit, I did not anticipate you befriending the locals. Maya, that complicates things. Revan's weapon never wavered. You are on Consorium territory. Attacking a registered academy is an act of war. Leave now and perhaps you will survive the legal proceedings. Legal proceedings? Cassandra laughed again. Do you know how many council members owe me favors? how many wars I have quietly influenced, how many weapons shipments I have arranged for black operations that officially never happened. She spread her hands. I am untouchable. The consortium will issue strongly worded condemnations and do absolutely nothing. They always do. Maya's mind raced through options, scenarios, possibilities. Every path led to the same conclusion. Cassandra had planned this perfectly. No obvious way out, no clean solution, just impossible choices and desperate gambles, unless she changed the game entirely. You are right, Maya said quietly. I am wasting my time here. Kravik's head snapped toward her. Maya, no. It makes sense. All this pretending to be civilized. All these lectures about cooperation and understanding. It is not me. It never was. She met Cassandra's gaze. I will take your job, but my family remains off limits. That is non-negotiable. Cassandra's smile widened. Of course, I am a woman of my word. No, you are not. The words came from Zara. The small Korthian stepped forward, her antennae rigid with determination. You have no intention of honoring that agreement. The moment Maya becomes useful enough, you will use her family as leverage to ensure her compliance. That is how predators like you operate. And what would you know about it, little bug? Zara's mandibles clicked rapidly. My father is Ambassador Terex, of the Korthian Collective. I grew up watching people like you manipulate, threaten, and destroy. I know your type better than you think. She turned to Maya. She is lying. About everything. Cassandra's expression hardened. Careful, child. Your diplomatic immunity only extends so far. Then test it. Zara's voice remained steady despite the obvious danger. Kill an ambassador's daughter on academy grounds. See how many favors you have left after that. For the first time, genuine anger flashed across Cassandra's face. Her hand moved in a sharp gesture and her bodyguards raised their weapons. Everything happened at once. Revan opened fire, his shots forcing the bodyguards to split their attention. Kravik surged forward with terrifying speed, his claws extended. Maya grabbed Zara and rolled sideways as plasma bolts seared the air where they had been standing. But Cassandra was already moving, impossibly fast, her expensive suit tearing away to reveal combat armor underneath. She had been augmented, her reflexes enhanced to superhuman levels, her strength amplified beyond natural limits. She hit Maya like a freight train. They crashed through equipment racks, trading blows that would have killed unaugmented humans. Cassandra's enhancements gave her raw power, but Maya had something the arms dealer could never buy. Genuine combat experience against opponents who wanted her dead. Maya trapped Cassandra's arm, hyperextending the elbow joint. Augmented or not, joints still worked the same way. Cassandra screamed, her other hand reaching for a concealed weapon. Maya was faster. She drove her knee into Cassandra's midsection, stealing her breath, then delivered a hammer fist to the control node at the base of her skull. The augmentation systems sparked and died, their feedback overloading Cassandra's nervous system. The arms dealer collapsed, twitching. Across the gymnasium, Kravik had torn through both bodyguards, his fur matted with their blood. Revan stood over the disabled mercenaries, his weapon trained on any potential threats. Silence fell once more. Maya stood over Cassandra's convulsing form, breathing hard. Your brother died quickly, cleaner than he deserved. You. She leaned down. You get to live with the knowledge that you failed, that you underestimated a 17-year-old girl twice, and it cost you everything both times. She pulled out Cassandra's communicator and accessed the command interface. With a few quick inputs, she broadcast a shutdown signal to the operatives watching her family. The confirmation came back immediately. Assets standing down. How? Cassandra gasped through the pain. Those codes were encrypted. Your brother kept records. Very detailed records. I have been carrying them for 3 years, waiting for someone stupid enough to come after me. Maya dropped the communicator on Cassandra's chest. When they arrest you, and they will arrest you now, tell them Maya Chen sends her regards. Security forces finally arrived, flooding through every entrance. They were too late to help, but just in time to secure the scene. Medics rushed to treat the wounded while armed guards placed Cassandra and her surviving mercenaries in restraints. Revan holstered his weapon, his expression somewhere between impressed and horrified. That was the most spectacular first day I have ever witnessed. Sorry about the mess, Maya said. Sorry? Girl, you just took down one of the most wanted criminals in consortium space. The council will probably give you a medal." He paused. "After they finish investigating whether you are actually more dangerous than she is." Kravik approached, his fur still bristled from the fight. "That was magnificent. Your species' reputation is well earned." "Thanks. I think," Zara chittered with what might have been hysterical laughter. "I was wrong. Not front row seats. I was standing on the stage. Do you know how many regulations we just violated? My father is going to be so proud." Despite everything, Maya found herself laughing. It started as a chuckle, then built into full laughter that released 3 years of tension, fear, and carefully maintained control. Zara joined in, her mandibles clicking rhythmically. Even Kravik's rumbling growl took on an amused quality. They stood together in the destroyed gymnasium, 3 impossibly different beings united by shared chaos. "So," Zara said when the laughter finally subsided, "does this mean we are friends now? Or just accomplices? Can we not be both?" Kravik asked. Maya looked at them. Really looked at them. A Korthian who valued honesty over safety. A Zakularan who chose curiosity over isolation. Both of them had stood beside her when running would have been smarter. "Yeah," she said quietly. "I guess we can be both." The next few hours passed in a blur of official statements, security debriefings, and medical examinations. Maya answered every question truthfully, holding nothing back. The evidence from Cassandra Thrane's records was more than enough to corroborate her story and incriminate Cassandra in dozens of illegal operations. By the time they finally released her, the Academy's central plaza had transformed into a media circus. News feeds from across consortium space were broadcasting footage of the attack, analyzing every frame, speculating about the mysterious human student who had taken down a notorious criminal. Professor Xelthan found her sitting on a bench outside the security office. His throat sac was calm, his multiple eyes reflecting something that might have been respect. "Miss Chen, I owe you an apology." Maya looked up, surprised. "Sir? This morning I treated you as a curiosity, a problem to be managed rather than a student to be taught." He settled onto the bench beside her, his posture indicating genuine remorse. "You proved yourself a warrior today, but more importantly, you proved yourself someone who fights for others rather than herself. That is the mark of true character." "I just did what needed to be done." "Precisely. And you did it with 3 years of patience, planning, and careful preparation. That shows wisdom beyond your age." He pulled out his datapad. "I am adjusting my curriculum. Clearly my understanding of apex predators was incomplete. I would very much appreciate your input moving forward."
You want me to help teach the class?
"I want you to help us all learn about humanity, yes, but also about courage, strategy, and the reality that the universe is far more complex than any textbook can capture." His throat sac inflated slightly. "Though perhaps we could avoid any more invasions this semester. My nerves cannot take it." Maya smiled. "I will do my best, sir." Over the following weeks, life at the Academy settled into something resembling normalcy. The destroyed gymnasium was rebuilt, the security systems upgraded, and Cassandra Thrane was extradited to face charges on 17 different worlds. But everything had changed in subtle ways. Students no longer gave Maya quite such a wide berth. Some still watched her nervously, but others nodded respectfully when they passed. A few brave souls even attempted conversation, asking about Earth, about her experiences, about what it was like to come from a death world. She answered honestly, without bravado or false modesty. Earth was dangerous, yes, but it was also beautiful. Humanity was violent, absolutely, but they were also capable of incredible compassion and creativity. Her study group expanded. Zara remained her closest friend, her sharp mind and sharper wit making her invaluable during research sessions. Kravik attended when his schedule allowed, his unique perspective on predator psychology enriching every discussion. Others joined occasionally. The nervous Vrelian from that first class, whose name turned out to be Chitter, eventually worked up the courage to sit with them. A Malgathi exchange student named Rena, whose crystalline thought processes complemented Maya's tactical thinking. Even a few humans from other programs started showing up, curious about the girl who had become famous overnight. Professor Xelthan's class became the most popular elective in the Academy. He incorporated Maya's experiences into his lectures, contrasting theoretical models with practical reality. Debates became fierce but respectful, with students from across the consortium learning to see beyond their preconceptions. Maya excelled in her combat training. Instructor Revan pushed her hard, but he pushed everyone hard, treating her as a student rather than a specimen. She returned the favor by helping other students improve, sharing techniques, offering encouragement, breaking down complex movements into teachable components. Kravik became her regular sparring partner. They were evenly matched in different ways, his raw power balanced by her technical skill. Their training sessions drew crowds, other students gathering to watch the human and the Zephyrian test each other's limits. "You are holding back," Kravik rumbled during one particularly intense session. "So are you," Maya countered, escaping his grip and resetting. "Then perhaps we should stop." They moved simultaneously, both unleashing their full capabilities. It was beautiful and terrifying, two apex predators operating at maximum capacity, each adapting to the other's strategies in real time. The match ended in a draw, both of them too exhausted to continue. "Your species," Kravik panted, his amber eyes glowing with satisfaction, "is going to change everything. The consortium has grown complacent, comfortable. You remind us that the universe still has teeth. Is that a good thing? Time will tell. But I prefer honest danger to comfortable lies." 3 months after the attack, Maya received a message from home. Her sister Emma's face appeared in the hologram, older now, her eyes carrying shadows that had not been there before. "Maya, I just heard what happened. Are you okay? Why did you not tell us about Kalavar's family? We could have helped." "I handled it, Em. You are safe. That is all that matters." "That is not all that matters, you stubborn idiot." Tears glittered in Emma's eyes. "You cannot keep carrying everything alone. You saved me once. You do not have to keep saving me forever." "Yes, I do. That is what sisters do." "Then let me return the favor. I applied to the academy. They accepted me. I will be there next semester." Emma's expression turned determined. "You are not facing the universe alone anymore. Whether you like it or not." Maya stared at the hologram, emotions warring in her chest. Fear for her sister's safety, pride in her courage, relief at not being isolated, guilt for the danger she might face. This place is not safe. Nowhere is safe. But at least there I will have you watching my back, and maybe I can watch yours too. Besides," Emma grinned, "I hear you have become quite famous. Someone needs to make sure it does not go to your head." After the call ended, Maya sat in her quarters, processing everything. She had come to the academy to hide from her past, to pretend she could be something other than a weapon. Instead, she had found something unexpected. A future. Not a perfect future. Not a safe one. But a future where humans and aliens could stand together, learn from each other, and build something better than what had come before. The door chimed. Zara and Kravik stood outside, carrying enough food for a small army. "Study session," Zara announced. "Professor Xelthan assigned a group project on cross-species cooperation. I thought we should practice what we preach. Also, we were hungry," Kravik added, "and everything tastes better with friends." Maya stepped aside, letting them in. They spread out across her quarters, pulling up datapads, arguing good-naturedly about their approach, occasionally stealing food from each other's plates. This was what she had been missing on Earth. Community. Connection. The knowledge that she was not alone in facing whatever challenges tomorrow might bring. Her communicator buzzed with a message from Instructor Revan, "Combat tournament next month. You are entered. Try not to break too many opponents." Maya smiled and sent back a single word, "Noted." Outside her window, the academy stretched across the orbital platform, thousands of students from hundreds of species, all learning to coexist in an increasingly complex universe. The consortium was imperfect, bureaucratic, often frustrating, but it was also hopeful, optimistic, striving towards something better, and now humanity was part of that equation. Not as conquerors, not as victims, but as equals, bringing their own unique strengths and perspectives to the endless challenge of building a civilization among the stars. Zara's voice pulled her from her thoughts. "Maya, you are doing it again." "Doing what?" "That thing where you stare dramatically out windows and contemplate the meaning of existence. It is very cinematic, but we need your input on this cooperation matrix." Kravik rumbled with laughter. "She does do that frequently." "I do not," Maya protested. But she was smiling as she returned to her friends. They worked late into the station's artificial night, Three impossibly different beings united by shared purpose. The predator cub and the deathworld girl, with the pragmatic diplomat keeping them honest. The universe was vast and dangerous and full of challenges that no single species could face alone. But together they might just have a chance. And that was worth fighting for.